The Second World War's European front was dominated by one fearsome machine, the German Tiger tank. Its thick armor and powerful 88mm gun made it nearly invincible against the Allied Shermans. American crews often joked bitterly that their Emperor Shermans were Ronsons. They lit up easily once hit. The Tiger could destroy a Sherman long before the American gunner could even see it. This imbalance created a sense of hopelessness among tank crews. But war often brings out unexpected ingenuity from desperate soldiers. One gunner, stationed in northern France in 1944, refused to accept defeat. He believed there was a way to outsmart the Tiger without needing a stronger tank. His name wasn't recorded in grand history books, but his story spread among tank battalions. It began as a rumor, a Sherman that had destroyed a Tiger head-on. And it all started with a simple trick born out of observation and daring. The Tiger's reputation was psychological as much as it was physical. Its engine roar and distant cannon thump sent chills through Allied lines. Crews knew that a frontal hit from their 75mm shells would just bounce off. The Tiger's armor could withstand nearly everything the Sherman could throw at it. Even before firing, many American crews hesitated to engage. Yet, not every battlefield engagement went according to expectations. Some gunners noticed that Tigers weren't invincible from all angles. Their armor, though thick, had weak points, especially at the turret ring and rear. But the problem was getting close enough to exploit them. That's where the impossible trick began to form in one gunner's mind. He started to think like the enemy, not like a target. The man behind the trick was known only by his nickname, Red. He was a gunner in the 2nd Armored Division, famous for his fiery hair and temper. Red had been through several tank battles and lost too many friends. He wasn't the most disciplined soldier, but he had sharp instincts. While most followed the manual, Red experimented with aim, timing, and angles. He began sketching diagrams of Tiger armor on scraps of paper. His obsession was to find where its metal shell could be cracked. Other crews thought he was mad. After all, no Sherman could match a Tiger head-on. But Red's experience told him something manuals never did. Machines had habits too. Every Tiger moved, turned, and fired in a rhythm, and he planned to break it. He was going to make the impossible happen through precision and nerve. Red's first step was studying captured Tiger wrecks and reports. He noticed that while the Tiger's frontal armor was impenetrable, its optics and turret seams were fragile. A well-placed shell to the right spot could jam the turret or blind the gunner. He began testing this theory during live combat exercises. By adjusting elevation just a fraction, he could ricochet shots into weak areas. He trained himself to fire at precise moments when the Tiger's gun was reloading. Timing, he realized, was more important than brute power. He wasn't fighting a tank anymore. He was fighting the man inside it. Each Tiger crew had its own reaction time and firing cycle. By reading their pattern, Red could anticipate their moves before they fired. It wasn't strength he needed, it was understanding. The impossible trick was not a new weapon, but a technique. Red began using the Sherman's mobility to bait the Tiger into misfires. He would expose the tank's turret briefly, just enough to draw fire. When the Tiger fired, its massive recoil and reload time left a short window. In that moment, Red aimed for the lower turret ring, the Tiger's Achilles heel. If hit at the right angle, the shot could jam the turret completely. It turned a deadly predator into a sitting duck. Red drilled his crew tirelessly until they could perform the move flawlessly. They practiced using smoke screens and quick rotations to mask their aim. Every second mattered. Every shell counted. This trick was part bravery, part madness, and pure skill. The chance to prove the trick came outside Saint-Lô, France, in July 1944. Red's unit was ambushed by two Tigers on higher ground. One Sherman was destroyed instantly, and panic spread among the crews. Red ordered his driver to move forward, not back. They charged through smoke and debris, drawing the Tiger's attention. The German gun fired, missed, and in that instant, Red acted. He aimed slightly below the Tiger's turret and fired. The shell struck and jammed the turret rotation completely. Seconds later, a second Sherman flanked and finished the immobilized Tiger. The impossible had happened. The Sherman had killed a Tiger. Red's crew sat in stunned silence. realizing they had changed something forever. News of Red's success spread quickly through the 2nd Armored Division. Crews began calling his method Red's shot. Commanders were skeptical at first. They thought it was luck. But when other gunners tried it and succeeded, it became doctrine. Reports noted a sudden rise in Tiger losses from turret malfunctions. Red's trick gave Allied tankers something they hadn't felt in months: confidence. The trick transformed the Sherman's reputation from a fragile tin can to a tactical weapon. Crews began approaching battles with new courage and discipline. The method required perfect timing, but it worked against overwhelming odds. The balance between hunter and hunted had shifted slightly, and Red's name became a legend whispered across radio channels. Despite his contribution, Red never received an official commendation. War moved fast, and paperwork was slower than battle. The technique spread anonymously, with no clear origin credited. Many officers preferred to attribute victories to luck or superior numbers. But among the gunners, Red's legend lived on in quiet respect. He became a symbol of ingenuity, the soldier who thought beyond the manual. His crew eventually rotated out after heavy fighting in Normandy. Some said he was injured during the push into Belgium. Others claimed he went missing in the Ardennes, his fate unknown. But every Sherman crew that survived owed something to his discovery. It was proof that one mind could outthink even the most powerful machine. Historians later analyzed how the trick worked. It combined the geometry of ricochet with timing and physics. When the shell hit just under the turret ring, it caused internal shock waves. This pressure could deform the turret gears, locking them in place. Even a 75mm gun, under perfect angle, could damage the Tiger's control system. It wasn't brute force, it was precision engineering under fire. Modern tankers study it as a case of improvisational genius. Red's method showed how understanding your enemy could be more powerful than technology. He didn't need a bigger gun, he just needed a better idea. In a war ruled by steel, he fought with intelligence. That made him dangerous in the best way possible. For many soldiers, Red's story was a spark of hope. They realized that courage and wit could level the battlefield. Crews started modifying their tactics, using terrain, light, and deception. They practiced the trick in mock battles, refining every movement. Even if they couldn't always destroy Tigers, they could survive longer. This change in mindset reshaped armored warfare for the Allies. Commanders noticed a shift. Fewer retreats, more counterattacks. Red's trick became more than a maneuver. It became a mindset. Tankers began thinking like hunters again. That psychological shift was as powerful as any new weapon, and it all started with one gunner's refusal to give up. German commanders soon noticed the sudden change. Their Tigers, once untouchable, were being disabled in surprising ways. Reports described mysterious jamming of turrets during combat. At first, they suspected sabotage or new Allied ammunition, but the truth was simpler. Their opponents had learned their rhythm. This frustrated the once confident Tiger crews. They started firing faster, more erratically. Breaking their precision advantage, the tables had turned slightly, forcing adaptation on both sides. Even superior armor couldn't compensate for shaken nerves. The Tiger's myth of invincibility began to crack, and that alone was a victory for every Allied tanker. Red's story reminds us that innovation often comes from emotion, not order. He wasn't a scientist or officer, just a man tired of losing friends. His frustration turned into focus, his defiance into discovery. War has always been a crucible for human ingenuity. When systems fail, people improvise, and sometimes that improvisation changes everything. Red's trick showed that intelligence thrives in chaos, even under shellfire. The mind can be sharper than steel. He may never have known how far his ideas spread, but he proved one truth of warfare: creativity is as vital as courage. In the end, survival is often the greatest invention. Tank warfare evolved, but Red's principles endured. Modern gunnery still emphasizes weak point targeting and predictive timing. Simulators teach soldiers to think dynamically, not mechanically. The lessons from Normandy echo in today's digital battlefields. Innovation under pressure remains a soldier's greatest weapon. Red's impossible trick became a case study in battlefield adaptability. It's mentioned in training manuals under exploiting mechanical vulnerabilities, though unnamed. His contribution reshaped tactical thinking, technology advances, but the human factor never fades. The smartest weapon on any battlefield remains the mind, and that's what Red proved more than 80 years ago. History often forgets the names of its quiet heroes. For every general remembered, 1,000 soldiers remain unknown. Red's story, passed between crews and mechanics, survived through memory. It lived not in medals, but in the saved lives of others. When tankers returned home, they told their families about the trick. Each retelling kept the legend alive, an oral monument. The archives may not hold his name, but his courage is recorded in results. Every Tiger destroyed by a Sherman told part of his story. Every crew that lived to see dawn carried his legacy. He was not a commander or inventor, just a man who refused defeat, and that makes him unforgettable, even without fame. Today, Red's legend stands as a testament to human willpower. He turned weakness into strategy, fear into focus. In every war, there are moments when logic says, it can't be done. But history is written by those who try anyway. The M for Sherman was never built to kill a tiger. Yet it did, because one man believed that skill could outmatch steel. His impossible trick wasn't magic. It was understanding. And understanding, even in war, is the beginning of victory. Red's story isn't just about tanks, it's about determination. It reminds us that innovation is born where hope seems lost. And sometimes, one gunner's courage can change the course of a war.